Yep, it's time for It's a Constituency Knockout, where we pit two MPs against each other to find out who represents the crown jewel of constituencies and who is from a rotten borough. Contestant number one, what's your name and where'd you come from?
Hi, I'm Sarah Hall. I'm the Labour Member of Parliament for Warrington South, which is right in the centre of the Northwest.
Welcome
one of the best. Thank you. One of the best connected places in the country. Sorry. Very keen.
Excellent. A quick plug, quick fact there, trying to get ahead of the game. Sarah Hall, welcome to the show. Contestant number two, what's your name and where'd you come from?
Hello, my name's Jayne Kirkham and I come from Truro and Falmouth down in Cornwall, which is definitely one of the most beautiful places in the country.
And you couldn't be further apart, but you are both Labour MPs. Let's start with you, Sarah Hall. Further apart geographically, I should say. Let's start with you, Sarah Hall. The point of this part of the show is to give hard-working backbench MPs a chance to tell our listeners what they're up to. So what's in your postbag and what are you campaigning on?
Wow, quite a lot. Honestly, I wish there were more hours in the day. So, things like pushing for serious investment in our local leisure centres. We desperately need a new hospital, so working on a huge project for that. I'm working alongside a local family that's fighting for justice. That includes Jane Coates, whose daughter Lucy was shot dead by her father in Texas. I'm supporting a group of bereaved families who were affected by the Summerland disaster. I recently visited Warrington, has a fantastic transporter bridge, which there's only 3 left in the country, and I'm supporting them on regenerating that. Working with local sports groups to develop a local cooperative and helping them take control of the pitches, and then obviously all the other huge issues that are affecting all of us up and down the country at the moment. So it's a very busy time.
What a full workload you've got, Sarah. Jayne Kirkham, what are you working on? What's keeping you busy?
Lots of things, just the same, really. So a pool. Falmouth lost its swimming pool 3 years ago, and we are campaigning very, very hard to get one back because we're on a peninsula in Falmouth. Our children are unable to learn to swim at the moment, and that is not safe. Housing, new housing, particularly around Truro, where we have a site that was a council site that is now flattened and needs some of that £39 billion for social housing that the government's put aside. We're working still very hard on clearing up the mess after Storm Goretti, where we discovered that our infrastructure, particularly our broadband and our internet, isn't as strong as it should be. Working very hard on further education, particularly transport, because in other places in the country, people are much more able to get to their further education and their apprenticeships and work experience than they are in Falmouth and Truro. We need better buses and better railways, so I'm working very hard pushing for that. Also trying to build and restore the rail freight line down to Falmouth Docks. Falmouth Docks has a very bright future, hopefully, working with floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea, so a big part to play in making the UK net zero power by 2030. We managed to get a robotic arm surgery in our local hospital, which is fantastic. And I've got my summer politics school coming up on the 28th of August. So we're working on that as well.
Blimey, you're both very busy. I hope you get the chance to have a holiday. Let me ask both of you one question, the question that is exercising the nation today. Are Andy Burnham's videos too blokey, Sarah?
No, I think they're a lot of fun, to be honest. I think the good thing about Andy is he's very down to earth, and I think a lot of people appreciate that. You know, it's somebody that if you see on the street, a lot of people say hello. I think it's just part of his relatability.
Jayne?
I think he's doing a good job, actually, getting across to people. People do relate to him. I think some of it was a mixture of videos, isn't it? Some of the serious points, of course, about education for 16 to 19-year-olds, vocational education, social care. That's getting across really well, so I'm pleased about that.
Excellent. Endorsed there by 2 Labour MPs. Let's get the contest underway. Jayne, let's have your first fact.
Okay, so Falmouth is the 3rd deepest natural harbour in the world, which has made us really, really sought after. So back hundreds of years ago, the packet ship sailed from Falmouth, and that was basically like the Royal Mail of the pre-1900 world. So they sailed around delivering messages all across the world, and Falmouth was basically the hub of it. And in fact, those telegraph cables that went under the sea went from Cornwall as well. Darwin came ashore here. We were the last landmass from Europe that Napoleon saw, and news of Trafalgar actually landed here again as well. So we really are a gateway to the rest of the world in Falmouth.
What a great fact. I mean, most of the facts are more interesting than it's the third deepest natural harbour, particularly the Darwin and Napoleon facts. Sarah, can you come back?
Absolutely. So Warrington is home to the oldest public library in the country. It opened in 1848, 2 years before Salford and 4 years before Manchester. When we didn't stop there, 10 years later, Warrington launched one of Britain's first mobile libraries, the horse-drawn Warrington Perambulating Library. The library is also part of Warrington Museum, which brings me to Old Billy. My colleague Charlotte Nichols for Warrington North may claim the birthplace of the world's oldest horse, but Warrington South is where he died. And after a long campaign to bring him home, you can now find his taxidermied head. So,
blimey, that's shocking. You've crammed a lot of facts in there. And as somebody who closed a lot of libraries, I've got to give you round one to try and redeem myself. So Sarah is ahead 1-0, but Jayne may come back and level the scores.
I hope so. I want to tell you about the Cornish pilot gig that originated in St Mawes in my constituency. The Peters family began building 6 oared gigs back in 1790, and they produced many of Cornwall's best known vessels. And the Cornish gig has become very, very famous. It was used to guide larger ships into harbour, in trading, rescuing sailors. It's a very, very Cornish thing. And in fact, they have the World Gig Racing Championships around the Scilly Isles every year. So we have the World Championship of Gig Racing, and it's very, very popular here.
Oh, Jayne, Sarah, I'm not sure you can beat that fact.
Okay, we'll see. So RAF Burton Wood became the largest airbase in Europe. It was effectively a town within a town, housing more than 18,000 servicemen with 6,500 local women becoming GI brides. More than 15,000 aircraft were assembled and maintained there. In the late 60s, it became a Cold War supply depot and staging post with 4.8 million square feet of covered storage, rows and rows of military vehicles, and 5 million MRE ration meals. Its main warehouse, header house, was a mile long and described as the largest building in Europe under one roof. And to top it all off, I live in a house built on the site of the old air base.
Wow. Can you still see the runway on your development?
No, it's part of a motorway now, that bit.
It's 1-1. Jayne wins because of the Cornish pilot gig being a unique aspect of her constituency. It's going down to the wire. Jayne, Can you get ahead?
I hope so. I wanted to talk a little bit about Cornish mining, which made us one of the richest places in the world, but also meant that we were post-industrial because our mines closed a lot earlier than the coal mines in the rest of the country. So back in 1870, a handful of Cornish mines produced more than half the world's arsenic. And although it's very, very poisonous, obviously it was really in demand then for use as a pesticide and in paint manufacturing. So we've always mined incredible critical minerals down here, and we are looking to reopen the mines in the future. So to mine things like lithium and tin again, which have gone up in value and are really, really important, obviously, in this renewable world when you need tin and lithium in batteries and chips for your mobile phone and everything.
You could be the next Silicon Valley. Sarah, can you beat the next Silicon Valley?
Okay, well, we're talking about going down to the wire. So metal is quite literally part of Warrington's identity. For more than 170 years, wire making dominated the town. So Warrington wire was sent around the world. And it's why our rugby league club, Warrington Wolves, is still known as the Wire. Our most famous piece of metalwork is probably the Golden Gates outside Warrington Town Hall. They were made for Queen Victoria's Sandringham estate, but when the Queen was due to see them, assistants realised that they were framed perfectly between the gates. There was a statue of Oliver Cromwell, and they led her in a different direction. So the gates never made it to Sandringham, but Warrington ironmaster Frederick Monks brought them and the Cromwell statue to Warrington. And Warrington Town Hall itself, built in 1750, rests on foundations made from moulder copper blocks from the old Banky works. Even the window frames are made of copper rather than wood.
Love it. And the winner is Sarah Hall. You've edged it at the end, partly because I love the fact that you made these gates for the Queen and then kept them. I think there should be a campaign to get them moved up to Sandringham. Sarah Hall, you are today's winner, Labour MP for Warrington South. Jayne Kirkham, you had some fantastic facts, Labour MP for Truro and Falmouth, just pipped at the end. And thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedules, still working in August to come on It's a Constituency Knockout.